They say curiosity killed the cat, but what if curiosity doesn't? Kill you? What if it brings something back with you instead? What if, on one fateful night, you went looking for something beyond your understanding, and it found you first? In the small, forgotten town of St. John's, Arizona, where the wind whispered through empty streets and the nearest city was miles away, 4 teenagers sought adventure where there was none. They spent their nights driving the same roads, making the same stops, caught in the monotony of rural life. But on one particular summer night in 2019, they unknowingly invited something beyond their understanding into their world. Their journey began with an app, Randonautica, an experiment in digital chance that promised to lead users to unknown locations based on their own manifested intentions, with nothing but curiosity and the hunger. For something terrifying, they set their focus on one word: aliens. With their intention set, the app generated coordinates, pulling them away from the heart of town and into the darkness beyond. As the car rolled past the last gas station, past the final lamppost, it entered a realm of deep black where only the headlights pierced the void. The directions led them far beyond their comfort zone, down a long-forgotten road that even locals avoided. Every mile stretched their anticipation tighter. Excitement mingled with unease, an unspoken feeling settling among them. The app had delivered on its promise. But at what cost? The car rumbled down a narrow dirt path leading to an abandoned structure. The building stood isolated, its darkened windows like empty sockets, its tin roof rusted from years of exposure. Beneath the lamppost, crates lay haphazardly stacked, their shadows stretching unnaturally across the ground. As they stepped from the car, the night was eerily silent, too silent. Even the wind had stilled, leaving only the quiet creak of the cooling engine. Then Kay whispered, his voice barely audible over the weight of the silence. "What? The beep? Is that?" A blur of motion, something impossibly fast. It ran beneath the lamplight, its grotesque form illuminated for only a second. But in that moment they saw it. A massive, emaciated body. A head too large for its frame. Arms that bent at sickening angles. And worst of all, the sheer height of it, easily towering over them if it had chosen to stand upright. Fear clamped around them like a vice. The narrator stumbled, scrambling to the car, fumbling for the door handle with shaking hands. But the others stood frozen, staring, as if mesmerized by the horror before them. They screamed, they scrambled, and in the chaos, the narrator barely managed to start the car, executing a frantic 3-point turn on the narrow road. As they sped away, hearts pounding, a glance in the rearview mirror revealed one final horror. The creature, standing just outside the glow of the lamplight, its head tilted, watching them leave. Back in town, they sat in the car, breaths heavy, minds racing. No one spoke for a long time. The gas station's bright lights felt hollow, insufficient to wash away the darkness they had just escaped. Then, against all logic, against all survival instinct, one of them spoke up. "Should we go back?" And a few hours later, with 2 new friends in tow, they made a decision that defied reason. Perhaps it was denial, or maybe just teenage recklessness, but they weren't satisfied. Once again, they opened the app. Once again, they focused on the unknown. And once again, the coordinates led them into the dark. Back in town, they sat in the car, the fluorescent lights of the gas station humming above them. No one spoke. No one moved. The memory of what they had seen clung to them like a shadow that refused to fade. The night outside felt heavier now, as if something had followed them back, just beyond the edges of the light, waiting. Then, someone broke the silence. "Should we go back?" At first, the idea seemed insane. but the longer they sat there, the more it gnawed at them. Maybe they hadn't seen what they thought they saw. Maybe fear had distorted reality. Maybe it was all in their heads. That's what they told themselves. That's how they justified what they did next. With hands still shaking, they reopened the app. Their fingers hovered over the screen. The coordinates loaded. And in that moment, the wind outside shifted, whispering through the cracked pavement, curling around the car like something sentient. They were heading back, but this time, something would be waiting.
Some places are best left undisturbed. Some secrets are meant to stay buried. But what if curiosity pulls you in, deeper than you ever intended? What if the shadows whisper your name, and the darkness knows your every move? Tonight, we step into a place forgotten by time, a school abandoned to decay, and something else, something that never left. It started as a dare, a late-night adventure fueled by teenage bravado and a few whispered legends. The abandoned school on the outskirts of town had long been a source of speculation. Tales of missing students, flickering lights in empty classrooms, and the sound of footsteps echoing in the dead of night. Nobody really believed the stories, at least that's what they told themselves, until they stepped inside. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of mold and decay. Their footsteps echoed in the cavernous halls, bouncing off empty lockers and broken desks. Dust floated in the air, caught in the dim glow of their flashlights. At first, it seemed like any other abandoned building, silent, lifeless. But then, the noises started, the soft scrape of something shifting in the shadows, the quiet click of a locker door swinging open, and the unmistakable sensation of being watched. They found an old classroom, the desks still arranged as if expecting students to return. The blackboard was smeared with faded writing, the words barely legible beneath years of grime. It was then that they heard it, a whisper, faint and distant, like a voice carried through the walls. A chill ran through the group as they turned toward the doorway, but there was nothing there. Nothing, except the distinct impression that someone, or something, had been standing just beyond the threshold, watching them. A loud crash shattered the silence. Panic surged through the group as they spun around, their flashlights darting wildly across the room. Something had moved, something big. The air grew electric with dread as a heavy footstep echoed from the hallway. Then another, and another. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. Without a word, they bolted, their footsteps pounding against the decrepit floors as they raced toward the exit. But the hallways had changed. The path they had taken before was no longer there. The school itself seemed to shift, trapping them inside. They turned corners that should have led to exits, only to find themselves back where they started. The layout of the school made no sense. Doors led to nowhere, stairwells twisted impossibly, and worst of all, the whispers had returned. Closer this time, urgent, almost pleading. Then, the power cut out completely, and the only thing left was darkness and the sound of breathing, not their own. A door they hadn't seen before, a last chance. They pushed through, stumbling into the night air, cold, fresh, real. They turned back, nothing but an empty school, silent and still. But as they stood there, trying to catch their breath, one of them gasped. There, in the window of the second floor, something watched them go, and it smiled. The silence was deafening, the door was locked, the balcony was empty, and yet, the feeling remained. Someone was still watching. Somewhere, hidden in the darkness, he was still there, waiting, watching, a presence that had never truly left. That night, sleep never came, and even after moving away, the memories lingered like a stain that could never be scrubbed clean. Because once you've been hunted in your own home, you never feel alone again.